Uh, Good morning, students. So this is a demonstration of the sagittal section of the head neck. So here we can see the interior of the skull. This is the base of the skull, interior of the base of the skull. Over here we have the foramen magnum. From here the medulla was being continued as the spinal cord. So some of the airs here we can see the remnants of the meninges. Some of the air sinuses which we can see out here. This is the frontal air sinus. This is the sphenoidal air sinus. Over here the bony other landmarks are, this is the anterior arch of the atlas. Over here this is the posterior arch. These are the body of the vertebrae. Now come to the next important thing that you have to notice is the hard palate. So this is the hard palate and this is the soft palate. This hard palate is going to divide it. The area above that is the nasal cavity. The area below that is the oral cavity. So in this nasal cavity you can see that it is going to extend from this is the vestibule over here, from the anterior or the nostrils to the choana. And here we can see the concha. The inferior nasal concha here has got a bit torn. This is the inferior nasal concha. You all know that the opening, we have the opening of the nasolacrimal duct in the inferior meatus. Next, this is the middle nasal concha. The middle nasal concha is deflected. Over here we can see an swelling out here. This swelling is the bulla ethmoidalis. The middle ethmoidal air cells, they open on or above the bulla. Below that you can see there is a gap, a passage. This passage is the hiatus semilunaris. This hiatus semilunaris will lead into the infundibulum, where we'll have the opening of the frontal and anterior ethmoidal air cells. Above that, this is the superior nasal concha. It has also got torn. I'm sorry. Behind that, you can see this is the inferior nasal concha. 1.25 centimeter behind that is the opening of this is the auditory tube. So this is the pharyngeal opening of the auditory tube. 1.25 centimeters behind the posterior end of the inferior nasal concha. From here, you can see this pharyngeal opening of the auditory tube. Behind that there is an elevation. So this is the tubal elevation. And behind that there is a recess. So this is the pharyngeal recess. So this is the pharyngeal recess or the fossa of Rosenmuller. Now you can see that this pharyngeal opening of the auditory tube, from here there are two folds going down, one to the soft palate. So this is the salpingo-palatine fold. This one behind that, this is the salpingo-pharyngeal fold. Come to the oral cavity. So this is the hard palate. From here you can see we are removing the tongue from here, and you can see there are two folds. We can see the oropharyngeal isthmus over here. So this is half of the isthmus. So from here this fold going to the junction of the anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3 of the tongue. This is the palatoglossal fold containing the palatoglossus muscle, and behind that this one is the palatopharyngeal fold. So we have two folds, palatoglossal arch, palatopharyngeal arch, and this over here is the tonsillar fossa. Just below that now, so this was the nasopharynx, this is the oropharynx and this oropharynx, and below that we have the laryngopharynx. This laryngopharynx, what is the level? Over here, this is the epiglottis. So this is the upper free margin of the epiglottis. Let us see from here. This is the epiglottis. So this is the upper free boundary of the epiglottis. So this over here, this is the opening of the laryngeal inlet. Let us have a look over here. So this thing, when it is closed, this is the specimen of the larynx and the pharynx. Here the larynx has been cut open. So this was the laryngeal inlet. Here we have the upper free margin of the epiglottis. You can see this epiglottis was connected. Over here we had this tongue. So the tongue was like this. So this epiglottis is connected to the tongue. This is the median glossoepiglottic fold. This was the lateral glossoepiglottic fold. So between the median and the lateral glossoepiglottic fold, so these spaces are the vallicula. So this is the epiglottis, upper free margin of the epiglottis. When we close it like this is the laryngeal inlet. So what is the boundary of the laryngeal inlet? In front and above we have the upper free margin of epiglottis. Behind we have the interarytenoid fold of mucous membrane. On either side we have the aryepiglottic fold. So this is an aryepiglottic fold, this is another aryepiglottic fold. And on either side of, on lateral to the aryepiglottic fold, this space, this is the vallicula. So this vallicula, this space, sorry, my mistake, this is the pyriform fossa. This pyriform fossa is bounded medially by the aryepiglottic fold, and laterally we have the lamina of the thyroid cartilage and the thyrohyoid membrane. So this, is the pyriform fossa. So this pyriform fossa will be separated from the vallicula by the lateral glossoepiglottic fold. So this is the interior of the larynx. So this larynx was closed like this. This has been cut open. We can see the interior. So what are the parts? We can see three folds. This is the aryepiglottic fold over here. Then we can see this one. Over here there is a space. So above the space there is a fold. Below the space there is another fold. So this space is the sinus of the larynx. Sinus, above the sinus, this fold is the false vocal cord or the vestibular fold. Below that, this one will be the true vocal cord. So this is the sinus of the larynx. So what are the cavity of the larynx is divided into three spaces. From the upper margin, so from the aryepiglottic fold, inlet of the larynx to this vestibular fold, this is the vestibule of the larynx. Between the vestibular and the vocal folds, this is the sinus of the larynx. And from the vocal fold to the lower margin of the cricoid cartilage, you can see, you can feel, this is the posterior lamina of the cricoid cartilage. So up to here, this is the infraglottic part. So let us see over here. So this is the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. This is the posterior 1/3. This is the epiglottis. Epiglottis is anterior surface. This is the posterior surface. Here we have the inlet of the larynx, bounded in front by the upper margin of epiglottis, behind by the interarytenoid fold, on either side by the aryepiglottic fold. So from here we are entering into this space, which is the larynx, and this space behind that is the pharynx. So you can see that the air passage and the food passage, they are crossing each other. So with this, I hope you get an understanding of the head neck region. Thank you so much.